I have my backing ready to go. It's all pressed. And I'm going to tape it down to, and this placed face down, I'm going to tape it down to the table using painter's tape, not duct tape, not scotch tape, because this will release very easily without damaging the fabric. And I'm taping it to give me, so that I can maintain my backing to be very smooth when I put the batting and the quilt top on, because then I'm going to be pinning so that I can then quilt it. And by having this nice and smooth, I'm going to make it smooth but not taut. Taut means that you're pulling on it and you're going to create an uneven tension. So I'm just going to smooth it out by hand and keep taping the sides and the end and get ready to put my batting on and carry on with the rest of the sandwich. There are many types of fibers to be used for batting. Probably the most common is cotton with some sort of a blend. This is a brand name called Warm and Natural, and you can see from the label that it's 87.5% cotton and a blend of 12.5% of polypropylene. This product is available in a 96-inch width at $28 a meter and 124-inch width, which would accommodate a king-size quilt, at $45 a meter. Sometimes it's still worth your while to buy the wider width in any event and use that for your purposes. This is also needle punched, which is a process of felting where they've used barbed needles that are punched through the fabric to sort of blend and mesh the fibers together, so that when you're sewing, your needle is not pulling up the bits of fiber to the top of the quilt. And there is a right and a wrong side to batting. Because of the needle punching, you can see that there's little dimples in this side of the batting. That is the right side. That is what you want directly underneath your quilt top. And if you look at the backing, you can see that it's not quite, it's smoother. It does have some texture, but it's not punched or dimpled the way the top is. This one is the Pellin brand, and this is an 80-20 blend. And scrim is a type of a glue that is used into the fibers, which helps to hold the fibers together so that they don't split. And again, you can see the dimpling on this side compared to that side, which does still have some texture, but it's not as dimpled as the right side. This is 100% cotton, again with a scrim and needle punched at 96 inches wide. It's $32 a meter, but this is much softer. You can actually feel the difference between the first two of the amount of polyester that is blended in with the cotton. This is very soft, and you can really see the dimples on this piece compared to the back. This is 100% bamboo, which is incredibly soft, and particularly for people who have allergies, bamboo is very lightweight and non-allergenic. At 96 inches wide, this is $34 a meter, which is not that much more expensive than pure cotton. Again, you can still see some of the dimpling compared to the back. This is a soy blend. This is a blend with cut. I'm not sure what the percentage was because it wasn't labeled, but you can still see the dimpling of the needle punching compared to the back. This is 100% polyester. Now this one is made with a high loft. You can actually see the thickness of this. This is about 1/3 of an inch loft. So this is going to give you a very different feel to your quilt, because the quilt between the lines of stitching is going to be very puffy by comparison. Some people think that the polyester is just as warm as the cotton. I haven't noticed that much of a difference, but it varies between people. This is also 100% polyester. It's very thin, but it's very stiff. It's very inexpensive, and this I primarily use I will use this, for example, for a table runner that I don't need a lot of loft, or I will use this in my pillows when I'm making a sham, because this is stiff enough to hold out, to support the sections of the sham that goes around the pillow. I have my batting laid out on my backing with the dimpled side up, because that's going to be against my quilt top. I want to make sure that these little bits of dark threads and scraps of fabric, I want to take those off, because if you have light colored fabric on your quilt top, those strands might show up, and you don't want to do that, because it's going to be there forever. So just make sure that you pick off any of these little loose strands or bits of lint that might show through your quilt top. Okay, I have my quilt top laid out, but the last step before you lay this down to get ready to attach it to the sandwich, just make sure that all of your seams are ironed flat. You don't want to have seams that are sort of bowed out in the middle, or some other kind of a knot that might happen, because those kinds of bumps will actually show up in your quilt's top. And so now is the time to make sure that you are satisfied with all of your seams before you proceed. Our first step for getting this put together is that I'm going to fold my quilt's top halfway up, and same with the batting. And we're going to use a temporary spray glue to hold this in place until I start the pinning. Some of the things about the spray glue, it's not, unfortunately, if you leave it permanently, if you leave it for too long a period of time before you start working with it, the glue can become permanent, and obviously that's not something that you want to happen, because if there's any adjustments, that's not going to happen. Normally you just spray the glue onto the batting, because sometimes, depending on your fabric and the brand of the glue, you can get some stains of the glue into the fabric. I personally haven't had any trouble with that, because I'm not using an excessive amount of the glue, so that might be why I haven't had any trouble with it. I just have to adjust this. So I'm going to lightly spray the batting and unroll it back onto the backing. And to smooth it out, you're going to start from the centers and just gently pat it to spread it. Don't drag your hand to spread it, because you can stretch the batting, and you don't want to do that. But you want to work from the center outward, and just to pat it down, just to hold it in place. And now we're ready to put the quilt top down. So again, I'm going to spray the batting and roll this back without disturbing the alignment that I had. And again, from the center outward, just gently pat it into place. Before I go any further with this, I like to make sure that my straight seams are in fact straight, because sometimes they can get a little bit bent out of shape. And this one, I can see there's a bit of a wow in here, so I just want to adjust that a little bit to get that straight. And now that one is working out straight, so I'm good, I'm happy with that. And these are straight, and this is also straight. Not that one has to be adjusted, so that will be adjusted slightly when I do the second half of it. The second half, again, I'm folding my quilt top back halfway, and the batting give the batting a spray. Bring it back into position, and again from the center outward, gently pat it to smooth it out and to encourage it to stick to the glue. And here comes my quilt top. And again, from the center outward. And I will check my seams again. This needs to be pushed just a little bit. And in the center here, it needs to be just pulled out slightly. And now that I've got that in place, I'm going to pin everything with these quilting pins. They're actually bent. A straight safety pin is very difficult to work with, but because this is bent, you can very easily work through and pick up both fabrics all the way to the backing. And you're going to put pins in about every 4 inches apart, so every sort of hand width is sufficient. You want that to be stable enough so that when you pick this up, it's going to stay in place and get ready for your actual quilting. The purpose of taping your backing down is so that you maintain and you have a very smooth surface ready for the quilting. But what you want to avoid, you can see here that I've got a few dimples. That's because I didn't have that part of the backing fabric taped down. So what I'm going to do now is to release each of these pins, smooth out the fabric, and repin. Because when you're quilting it, those kind of bubbles are going to be exaggerated, and you will have a huge dimple. Even this small one, that might cause me a bit of a problem. So I'm going to smooth that, remove the pin, and replace it, and that should, there, you see that's made a difference. And then this one as well. Take out both of them. Now that's what you're aiming for, a nice smooth surface, and repin. And you can see the difference that is made. And I'm going to fix that last one, and I'm ready to go to the machine to start quilting.